have been following my channel for a while, you know that I tend to kind of try to like to do things out of the box. I don't like to always use a round wreath. I like to find other things to incorporate into a piece. And that's what I'm doing today in this spring piece. So to get started with our springtime piece, what I'm going to be using is 2 swags that I actually picked up from Ellis Home and Garden, and I will go ahead and put their link down at the bottom of the page. I did grab these a couple years ago, so I'm not sure they have them in stock, but you can typically find anything like this at Michael's, Joann's, sometimes even Job Lots has, it's just a twig swag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to detach the greenery. Of course, it doesn't want to come undone for me. I'm just going to take the greenery off, like so, at the top. I'm going to keep it attached down here for now. I'm going to do the same with the other piece. And then I'm going to fit them in and then rewire them up together. So now I have both of my pieces with their greenery loose. And my goal is to make 1 loop. Now, I could go ahead if I wanted to. I could cut this to make it a little bit shorter, but I actually want this as long as I possibly can get it because it's going to go on a front door, and you know what I'm always saying about impact of a front door. This door is away from the road for quite a bit, so I want a piece that is large, that's really going to make a statement. So now I've stretched out my greenery, and I'm just going to secure my 2 pieces right here in the center. I'm going to use some florist wire for that. Also, it would be easy to use zip tie if you wanted to do that. That might be a little bit easier for you. If you don't have florist wire, you could just use zip ties. Now I'm not only going to secure the branches together, but then on top of that, I'm going to make sure that I secure this greenery together. And I want to just be able to spread it out as much as possible. Remember, I'm going for that wild look. I want something that looks very natural, not set. Now right here, I think I'm going to use a zip tie. I'm just feeding it through over the greenery and attaching it. And I'm not going to make it super tight at this point because I might want to add a ribbon there, something else. I just want to make sure that I'm getting those loose ends in the zip tie. Now at this point, I'm actually going to flip this around, and the reason being, this shape gives me a perfect hook for a hanger. Now you'll see as we begin to work on this, I'm not actually planning to have this straight on. I want it hanging at an angle. So wherever I choose to put my pipe cleaner or my door hanger, I have to remember that I'm not going to want it straight up and down. Now there is one big main stem in here. And like I'm always saying in my videos, I want to bend that and make it look as natural as possible. When we look outside at plants, they're never just straight up and down. Especially working with artificial faux flowers, we want to try to make them look as real as possible. So we need to take the time to go in and manipulate all the stems so that they're just not straight up and down. Gives them a much more real, natural look. I know it's time consuming, but it's worth it in the end when you stand back and you look at your piece, because it really does bring life to it. And like I said, we're going to be adding some more greens. This is just to get us started. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a hanger right here because I do want it, like I said, hanging at an angle. I'm going to use a pipe cleaner. And the reason why I like the pipe cleaner is because it doesn't scratch the door. It's easy to shape, bend, So I'm just going to loop it around one end and tie it. It's going to be completely hidden when we get our piece done. And then I'm looping the other end. I'm just feeding it through. I want to try to get enough twigs though so I get a good hanger. I don't want it to break on just a couple of stems. So you want to be very aware of that. And then I am just wrapping the excess pipe cleaner around itself to create a hanger. Now certainly if you wanted to make a wire hanger or something a little bit more substantial, you're welcome to do that. It's just I've been doing this for years and this just works for me. Again, I'm finding all those separate stems and I'm moving them. They're even wrapped down here and I'm actually taking some of that wrap off to spread them out. So I've already changed my mind. What I've decided I want to do is I want to move this heavier greenery up top where I'm going to have my flowers, and I want to have a big bow here, and then I just want to have my stems. So it looks like it's just a great big bunch of spring florals that have been picked. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull this section out. Now keep in mind when I do that, I'm adding more weight, so it's going to cause this to change a little bit. So I'm probably going to need to fix that. But again, this is why I didn't put that zip tie really close, tight, because now I have room. I can pull that right in and through and spread it out to get a nice base. I also want to add in some greens that are lighter in color. I'm always talking about the importance of that, adding in different tones to create interest. This actually has a real pretty pink tip, so I would put those in. At this point, I'm just laying them in, and then I'm going to go ahead and glue them in once I start to kind of get an idea of where I'm headed. This is going, my client has a blue door, so I'm going to do some pink. I want it soft. I don't want to make it too bright and too harsh. I just want to make it look like a really soft spring piece. I think as a designer, this is one of the hardest struggles for me because I could take this piece in so many different ways. I have this sign that I think would be adorable hanging on this, but for this particular client, her house is away from the road and she actually has a deck, which I know if I put this sign on, the deck rail would cover this and no one would even see it. So I've decided I'm going to save this for her back door. She's asked for a piece and I'm going to use this on her back door. On her front door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make, once I put the flowers in, I'm going to make a great big bow, cascading bow, and that is going to be nice and loose, and it's going to add to the whole airiness of the piece. Incorporate some more greens into the piece, feeding them into, that's what I love about this twig base. It's the perfect medium for something like this. Next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to cut all of these apart, and I'm going to leave them each as long as I possibly can. I'm going to save 3 together because I know that I'm going to want 3 up towards the top. So I'm going to take this one here and cut this off, and I'm going to save these together. Now this is going to become my base. Such an easy way to put a piece like this together. And what we're going to start doing, again, I'm going to bend all these out, but I've gathered up some of my white tulips and we're just going to incorporate those in here. And then once I get this all secured, I'll probably use a zip tie And then I'm gonna lay it in here and I'm gonna start to weave all of these flowers into the greenery, separating them, bending them, making them really pop. But with my hand, right now, I'm just creating like a bouquet. So I've got a couple more tulips that I want to stagger in here, put at different heights. Now again, you want to make sure that you don't make your bouquet so tight that you cannot manipulate your flowers, because that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to move them however you want. So I'm just very loose-handedly right now holding on to this. I'm going to pull this leaf off, but you want to save any of the tulip leaves, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. Any other flowers that you want to incorporate into this that are long enough that you can include in this bunch, you want to go ahead and put those in now. So I have this beautiful raspberry color. I haven't even taken the price off the stem yet, but I know that I want to pop those in there as well. And again, these are all bendable, so I'll be able to put them where I want. Just simply gathered these in my hand, and I have started to make a cluster, a bouquet, so to speak, of different colors, different textures, tones of green. And I'm going to keep building on this, and then I am simply going to zip tie it and attach it to this base. Now, when I zip tie it, I'm going to leave the zip tie loose enough so that I can continue to slide pieces down if I want to. I don't want to, again, have it so tight that I cannot manipulate the flowers around. The other thing you want to make sure too when you do something like this is that you try to leave your leaves loose. Boy, that's a mouthful. Don't get your leaves caught up in the zip ties. Try to have those loose so you can move those wherever you want when you figure out exactly how you want your flowers put in your piece. So now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this with a zip tie. There's my zip tie right there, and it's loose enough that I can continue to add in stems. So now the next thing I'm going to do is figure out how I want this. Again, I'm going to pull all these pieces, these bright tulips, I'm going to pull those more to the front once I get it attached. This is so simple, and you could do this for any season. I mean, it doesn't just have to be spring. That's what I love about these ideas. You can use this idea for any season that you like. You could just you could use the same twig base and remove the flowers and just continue to add a new bow, new bunch of flowers to change it out seasonally. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a larger zip tie, and I'm just going to tie that all to this base. Again, I'm not going to do it super tight, just enough to hold it while I continue to work so that I can still fit pieces down in. And I'm going to turn it away a little bit because it's not resting nice and flat up against my easel. And now this gives me opportunity to come in here and start to play with how I want these tulips to be. Again, I'm bending all of this greenery, florals. That's why, like I say in my other videos, I know it's more expensive to buy these florals that you can bend, but in the long run, your pieces just end up coming out so different because you're able to bend it to really shape it the way that you want. Now at this point, this is when I typically step back from my piece and look at it and decide what else I want to add. I know I want another tulip up in here. Now, if I decide to move anything up, I want to make sure that I hold on to my base when I do that. I think I'm wanting one more in there. Oh, this is so pretty. So happy with this, and it's been so easy. So very easy to do. Now, the reason why I'm always saying save your stems when you cut some off, because in an instance like this, we want faux stems coming out, so it looks as if the stems of the plant, like this one here, the stems of the tulips are extending. So I'm going to go ahead and look in my stash and see what I can find for a couple more stems and come back and add those in. I do feel that a couple of these heavier stems are too loose, so I'm taking a brown pipe cleaner and I'm simply going to wrap it around the stems and attach it to the twig base, just to secure it a little bit better. I'm going to do that one more time with a main stem that came on this twig piece as well. Snip that end. Now when I snip it, I'm going to turn it a little bit to the side, and the reason for that is I just don't want the sharp piece. I could do that when I'm all said and done, but I just didn't want the real sharp end to be right here in the front. And then I'm just going to turn it a little bit to the side. And then I have a couple more ends here that I need to snip. I'm thinking I'm going to make an 8-loop bow and attach that, wrap it around. Okay, so I've got it this far along, and I know I want to add some more purple. Again, the reason why I love this twig base is how easily things go in. I want to add some more purple there. I also want to add some more purple in the back. Again, making sure that I bend it all. And I'm tucking it in. And I will go ahead and glue those. Gonna add in some more grass. Some more of this spiky grass that I have. I use this a lot. This is one of my favorites. This comes from Hobby Lobby. I use this quite a bit. Again, I just love how it looks so airy. That's what we're going for. And then for ribbon, I've decided I'm going to use this beautiful wired. It has almost a satin sheen to it, green and white striped bow that I'm going to go ahead and put right in there. Okay, so I've started to make my bow here, checking my links to make sure they don't have to be exact, pretty close. And then I'm just twisting it, adding another loop, and pinching it with my fingers. Now, if you're someone that struggles with arthritis or you just have a hard time, you could use a clothespin to keep all your loops together until you're ready to tie off your bow. I thought I loved this ribbon, but I don't know, it's wrinkling a little bit, so we're gonna wait and see. The only reason I'm concerned is because this bow is really a highlight of this piece, and I want it to look absolutely beautiful. And I don't want it to wrinkle. Okay, I'm up to 6 loops. Twisting it. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is my 8. And I want a droopy bow. I want it to be kind of droopy, like the bouquet is droopy. Okay, so let's tie this off and see what we have. I'm using a white pipe cleaner to tie this off. And when I get them all in the pipe cleaner, I'm going to fold it down and I'm going to twist the pipe cleaner to get it nice and tight. I don't know about this ribbon. It's really not doing what I wanted it to do. That's a disappointment. Thought it was going to hold its shape a little bit more. Oh, see how pretty that's going to be? Let's go ahead and attach our bow. Now this is another reason why you want to leave a little bit of space so you can get in there and work on it. Trying not to get in the way of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just feeding the pipe cleaner through at this point, bringing it over to this side, and I'm going to twist it tight. As tight as I can get it. And I'm going to take that pipe cleaner and I'm going to push that in the back so you don't even see it. Super important that we remember that we need to hide our mechanics. See how pretty that is and how quick this was to put together? We started with the base, we spread out the greens, we bunched our flowers, we zip tied them to the base, and we made a bow. You can even buy, they have pre-made bows. I know you can do this. I don't have any doubt. I know you can. And again, let me cut my ribbon here. You could either do ribbon tendrils like I showed before in my last video, or you could leave them straight. It's completely up to you. Now, if you wanted to, you could even add in some more ribbon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of the ribbon and tie it right around the wreath. I keep calling it a wreath, a door hanger, excuse me. To stick this in here and show you, I've got a very long piece of ribbon. It's probably 36 inches maybe. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and feed it, again, super easy, feeding it through where I wrapped that ribbon around. Now you can either make it completely even if that's your style, or you could make one a little bit longer than the other. And I am just going to knot it to make sure that it stays. We'll fix the ribbon after. And now I have 2 more ribbon tendrils that I am going to add to my piece. Actually, I think I'm going to do it in the back. Do it in the back. Bring it forward. And again, I don't want to get any of those tulip leaves tucked in. I want to make sure that those are all open. Really what I'm doing here is I'm just covering up the zip ties. And I'm just tightening up everything as well. I'm going to find the center of the bow where the pipe cleaner is. And I'm going to bring this up around and grab it and bring this other one up around and grab it. So when we're all said and done, we truly did tie the bow on to the swag, the twig base. And I'm going to cut those. But now in here, I'm just going to fluff this out. Pull this down. Oh, there's a bendable tulip leaf. Love it. I know, I'm crazy. I get excited over a bendable tulip leaf. What can I say? Very easy to please. Now again, you can dovetail. This is a type of ribbon that I could tell won't fray, so you could dovetail your ends. You can roll them up if you want and do the ribbon tendrils that are so popular right now, or you could just have it straight. You could even add in, if you wanted to, you could add in another color ribbon. That would be beautiful for a contrast, depending on what color your door is. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. Now what I will continue to do is, whoops, I forgot to dovetail this. I'm going to continue to play with the placement of the flowers. I might even stick a couple more in. It's telling you to save your stems. In a piece like this, I think putting a stem in here to fill this out, it's really thick. So I'm going to have a little bit of the time, but I would put that right in there. See how it just adds more depth? It looks very, very real. And it fills it out. Another thing I did want to say about mechanics, I don't know if you can see this, but I've got some picks here. I've got some loose ends. I've got this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get Spanish moss. I'm going to fill all this in with Spanish moss. I'm going to secure these really well. I'm going to nip this and try to tuck it under the ribbon. If I can't, I'll put some Spanish moss there as well. But it's really important that we make the back of our piece look just as good as the front. And then I'll take a final shot to show you the finished project. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, I wish you would go ahead and do that. We'd love to have you part of our community. We just really want to share creative, fun ideas. It shouldn't have to cost a lot to decorate your home, and it isn't that difficult. And the sense of accomplishment that we get when we make something ourselves, I don't know about you, but it really just stirs my heart. I get so excited when I create something and I'm able to step back and say, wow, I did that.